What's up, guys? So back with another video today about how to set up your template for top-down mixing. So have you ever started a track and it's going, you got a good loop going, but it's just not sounding great because it's not mixed yet, and you're kind of losing inspiration because it's not mixed, and you're kind of trying to mix it as it's going along, and the more you try to mix it, your creative momentum gets slowed down and you kind of just end up getting discouraged. I've definitely been there. So I'm gonna show you a way to set up your template so that before you even start playing a note, before you even put down a drum beat, your song will already be 80% mixed. It's called top-down mixing, and I'm gonna walk you through it step by step. So be sure to hit subscribe, follow for more tips, and let me know in the comments what other topics you want me to cover, and let's get into it. So here we go, blank session. It's been a long time since I started out with a blank session. I used to do this like blank session, okay, now I have to get up all my drum sounds and bass sounds, and it just takes so much time when you want to just get in there and start creating. Like, you have an idea, you want to get it down instantly. So this will save you guys a lot of time, not having to get everything set up every single time. Everything will already be set up and you just have to go plug and play. So blank session, we're gonna set up all of our channels and then into groups, and then have the groups flowing into something called the mix bus. So to start, we're gonna create a return track and we're gonna call it mix bus. We're not gonna put anything on it yet. We're just gonna create it and leave it there. So we're gonna create a bunch of MIDI tracks and we're gonna label them. So think of the stuff that you always use, right? So obviously we're gonna have kick, snare, clap, hi-hat, ho-hat, that's not it, hi-hat, open hi-hat, crash, ride, percussion. Yeah, that's fine for right now. So first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna select all of these and group them. So Command G, put them into a group, right? So now all these tracks are being summed to this group up here. We're gonna name this group drums, and we're going to color code these so we're organized. I think I usually make my drums blue like this, and then to make them all blue, highlight them all, assign track color to group tracks and clips. That's what you gotta do. So click on the group, right click, and say assign track color to group tracks and clips. And now they'll all be blue. For each track, you don't have to do anything except for like the snare. The kick, just leave it alone. For the snare, put an EQ on it. Just your stock EQ is fine. And move this out of the way. We're gonna put it on a high pass at 100 because you don't need anything below 100 for snares or anything else really. You just want the kick to be down there and nothing else interfering with it. So snare high passed at 100, same thing for clap. Snares and claps can all be high passed at 100. Hi-hats and the higher frequency stuff like hi-hat, open hi-hat, crash, ride. Percussion I'm just gonna leave alone because you don't know what you're necessarily gonna put there. If it could be a shaker or it could be like another snare type sound, so I'm just gonna leave that. But definitely all these you want to have EQ high passing at 500. So I'm just gonna copy that to all these other ones. Cool, so we have these all set up, EQ. So all these tracks are flowing into this group track called drums. And what we're gonna do is, instead of having this go to the master channel, which it says it's going right now, we're going to have it go to sends only, and we're going to send it all the way to the mix bus. So this is getting sent to the mix bus and not the master. So if you're following along in Ableton, you can follow along exactly. Obviously you can do this in other DAWs too. It's gonna look a little bit different, but the principles are the same. You can do this in any DAW. So we're gonna have this group send to the mix bus full all the way up and nothing else, right? So sends only. And then on the drum bus we're going to put a compressor. I use the SSL bus compressor, SSLG No, that's not it. Yeah, it's the Waves SSL compressor. You don't have to use this compressor in Ableton if you want to just use the stock plugins. The glue compressor is actually modeled after this compressor, so you can just use the glue compressor in Ableton if you don't want to buy this, or whatever compressor you want in your DAW. Really, just the stock compressor works fine. Put the threshold up, all the way up. Attack slowest attack possible, fastest release possible, 2-to-1 ratio. And yeah, so you're only gonna want to have like 2 to 3 dB gain reduction going on. Like it's not gonna be hitting up here. It's gonna be 2 to 3. So that's why we have the threshold set up so high, and you can just leave the makeup at 3 because we're gonna be getting 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction. So we're gonna make that up with the makeup gain, right? And if it's a little bit louder, then it's a little bit louder. It's not that much. It's not that big of a deal. So we're gonna have that, and then we're gonna have an EQ on the drums channel before the compressor, high passing at 40 hertz, because we don't need anything below 40 hertz for the drums. Really, anything below 40 hertz is gonna be bass mostly. So this is your drum bus, and then so we're gonna go to the next thing, create some more MIDI tracks. So I'm gonna do sub. So these are gonna be my bass tracks, right? So I'm gonna do bass layer 1, bass layer 2, bass layer 3, and respace. And so I'm just thinking of the things that I always use in most tracks, so that I'm just gonna get these up so I won't have to always keep doing this at the beginning of each session. So I'm gonna put my favorite plugin Serum here on the sub, because that's what I usually use for sub. So it's already there, don't have to worry about it. And same thing for the respace. In fact, I'm gonna just put them on all of them, because that's mainly what I use for basses. So I'm just gonna put Serum up, and I actually know I have a specific preset that I use for respace, so I'm going to put that up, analog res. So it's already there, don't have to do anything with that. I use different subs and different basses, so I'm gonna just leave it open. But I'm gonna group these as well. Command G, call this bass, and I'm gonna color code this green. So I'm gonna assign track color to group tracks and clips, so they're all green. All the bass is green. You can do whatever colors you want. This is just the colors that I use. And then on the bass bus, we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the drums. So we're gonna do sends only all the way up. It's the third one because it's the third send right here, see? So mix bus, send it all the way to the mix bus. And on the bus, we're gonna have an EQ as well. High passing at 30, because we don't need anything below 30. And then on each one of these bass layers here, I'm going to put a sidechain compressor that's sidechain to the kick, because setting up sidechains takes time away from your creative flow, and it would just be very nice to not have to deal with that every time. So we're going to go to a compressor with sidechain to the kick, have the ratio 3-to-1, attack 10 milliseconds, release auto, and put this on every bass layer. So that's just taken care of. We don't have to worry about that. So then we're gonna go next category. Let's call this one synths. So I'm just gonna put the synths that I usually use. So Omnisphere, Serum, Contact, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So group these again, color code it orange, assign track color to group tracks and clips, and then I'm just gonna put Omnisphere on here, put Contact on here. Cool, so now all these synths are already loaded up. I won't have to go and load them up each time. It's gonna save me a lot of time. I'm gonna name this group synths, do the same thing, sends only, send full to mix bus. And then so on each of these synth tracks, so I'm not gonna go through the other ones, like, so you can, the synths you can basically just use as a template for guitars, piano, strings, like any high frequency melodic instruments. So basically anything that's not drums and bass, you can use the same procedure as the synths group. So the procedure is you go on each track, you're gonna put an EQ, high passing at 100, right? Because we don't want anything else down there but the bass. And then you're going to put C4, which is a Waves plugin. Oops. I would highly recommend getting this plugin. I don't think it's very expensive. You can use another one, like just use any standard multi-band compressor. That's basically what this is. It's a multi-band compressor, but I really like this one because you can just put it on in the default setting. You don't have to touch anything, and it just ensures the tonal balance of all your sounds, right? It makes everything, kind of just balances everything out tonally. So definitely would highly recommend getting this plugin. And then finally, we're going to put a sidechain to the kick. Anyways, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna just copy this to all the other tracks. And then finally, we're gonna just do, so if you use guitars a lot, you could do the same thing for the guitars. Just have a group for guitars and then put the same processing on it. Piano, same thing. Strings, same thing, etc. You can customize it how you want to do it. And then finally, I'm gonna put FX, make an FX group, right? So I'm just gonna make like a few FX tracks, group these up, call it FX, sends only all the way up to the mix bus. And all I'm gonna do for this is just put an EQ high passing at 100. We don't need anything else down there except the bass. So this is how everything should look, color coded and set up like this, right? Cool. So now we have everything getting sent to the mix bus. All these individual tracks are sending to their groups, and the groups are getting sent only to the mix bus. They're not getting sent to the master. So if you have other sends going on, like let's say I have a reverb right here, you have to send the send to the mix bus as well. So I have it put on sends only. You're gonna do enable sends, enable all sends, and then put this to the mix bus as well. Same here, I have a delay, enable all sends, send this one to the mix bus as well. So everything is just sending to the mix bus, and then the mix bus is sending to the master. So that's how it should look. And then, so let's talk about what's gonna go on the mix bus now. So now everything else is set up to ensure that it's gonna sound nice and tonally balanced, and things aren't gonna be clashing with each other as much. So the mix bus is what's gonna enable you to have it 80% mixed from the jump, because it's just gonna, anything that you put up, like anything that you start recording, is gonna sound good. So what do you put on the mix bus? First, you're gonna just put the same compressor that you did on the drum bus. So the SSL compressor, yes, same settings. So threshold all the way up, slowest attack, fastest release, 2:1 ratio. That's number one. Then number two, so up to this point, you've pretty much been able to do it with stock plugins. These next few plugins are not stock plugins, but there are plugins that I would highly recommend you go get, because it's like, yes, you can do this with all stock plugins, but there are a couple plugins in this chain that you probably just won't be able to replicate without these plugins. Like it's just very hard to replicate with stock plugins. So this first one is called Wave Center, and basically what it does is it enables you from a macro standpoint to control the width of your mix. So we're gonna take the center, move it down to -4. See the number on the bottom, -4. So it's like 2 lines down, the second line. And then we're push the sides up a little bit to 2. So that's 1 line up, and then this is 2 lines down. And then for the low end, To make it more compact and more in the center, we're gonna push it towards the center to around like 9 o'clock, I guess. Yeah, so put the low end to 9 o'clock towards the center. We're gonna put the high end to 3 o'clock at the sides. So basically what this is doing is it's in your mix, it's taking the low frequencies and pushing them more towards the center so that there's less stereo information going on. It's going to be more compact, tight low end. And for the high end, it's making it wider. So it's widening your mix basically with the high end. And so you can just leave the punch and master where they are. Next plugin is going to be called Abbey Road Vinyl. This is a really cool plugin. It's hard to say what it does. It kind of just glues everything together in a way that sounds really nice. This is the one that especially, like, you can't really recreate this with stock plugins. So definitely go get this one. I think they're on sale right now. I mean, Waves has sales all the time, so if they're not on sale when you're watching this video, just wait like a week and it'll probably be on sale for like 20-30 bucks. So save yourself some money. And then so we're gonna go to Mix Bus Hi-Fi preset. Turn off the noise and crackle. You don't need that. It's basically like a tape machine emulator or like a vinyl emulator. It gives it that nice smooth vinyl sound. And finally we are going to, that's right, finally we're gonna put a limiter on it, just to, it's not gonna be doing much. It's literally just to make sure that you're not clipping. So you can use any limiter for this. I just use Waves L1 and just keep the threshold at 0 and put the out ceiling to -0.3. So no matter how loud your song is, it's not gonna clip. And that's pretty much it. So everything is now sending to the mix bus. And I'm gonna open up another project real quick for you guys and do some A/B testing just to show you exactly what the mix bus is doing for your track. So be right back. So I got a beat that I've been working on set up right here. The same system that I just showed you guys, right? All the groups, all the tracks sending to groups that are sending to the mix bus. So I'm gonna just turn it off and on while the beat is playing to show you guys like the difference that this thing makes. So listen to this. So as you can see, it's a huge difference. Everything already sounds glued together, and like that high end is shimmering, and it sounds like 80% mixed basically without me even having to do any mixing yet whatsoever. This is just me coming in here and playing around with some drums and bass and a sample. No mixing necessary. Mix bus does 80%. Mix bus does all the hard work for you. And there you go, guys. Let me show you exactly what the drum bus is doing. So see, the compressor's only doing like, the needle's barely moving, right? It's like doing 1 to 2 dB. You don't need that much, right? That's why we have the threshold up so high. It's just to kind of glue everything together. Same thing down here on the mix bus. Yeah, like that needle's barely even moving. It's just little moves, guys, little moves. Obviously they add up to a big difference though, so now you guys see what I'm talking about. So that was a video on top-down mixing. I hope you guys love it and use it in your productions to make it streamlined and way more easier. And be sure to check out more videos on the channel for more production tips, and let me know if this video helped you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.